Anthony Richardson, and you're listening to RosterWatch.
This is AJ Brown, and you're listening to RosterWatch.
This is Josh Allen, and you're listening to RosterWatch.
RosterWatch Nation, what is up? Welcome back to another episode of the epic Watching Rosters show here on the RosterWatch YouTube channel and RosterWatch X account. We appreciate you for tuning in on this beautiful, beautiful Sunday. A big weekend of football approaches. That brings us 1 week closer to the fantasy football playoffs. Week 15, 16, 17 is your general playoffs. Today, week 13 kicking off. Some teams are going to be a game out, maybe 2 games out. You need to win the next 2. You must win the next 2. Maybe you already clinched. Maybe you're starting to rest your starters. I don't know. But I'm here for it. Give you a strong 45 today, and then I'm going to head out, and I'm probably going to go dip my toes in the beach water here at some point. It's a little chilly right now, but hopefully at that point, right before kickoff, I can get to the beach and put my toes in and be 60 and sunny, and we'll see how that goes here in South Carolina. But I appreciate y'all jumping in here. Please drop any questions you got in the chat over there on the right. Any super chats will go to the top throughout the entirety of the show. And remember, I will go top to bottom. So the earlier you get in, the earlier your question will be answered. And if you get in late, it may just take 20 minutes, 30 minutes to get there. I'm going to go ahead and start setting my own lineups as I do every single weekend when I jump on the show and making my own decisions. And I'm looking at a couple of them right now. When I have a tough matchup for Bijan Robinson against the Chargers, I got a Rachaad White with a great matchup against the Panthers. I got Derrick Henry with a tough matchup against Philly. Javonte Williams with a Monday nighter against the Cleveland Browns. Or I could also play a Gus Edwards in a middling matchup against the Atlanta Falcons. I'm probably going to go ahead and obviously play Bijan Robinson. I can play up to 4 running backs here. Javonte might be my odd man out, and I'm probably going to play Gus ahead of one of these receivers. I'm probably going to end up putting Gus in here and benching Calvin Ridley. That's probably what that's going to end up being. That's close. That's close. I'm probably going to end up doing that, though. Looks like everything else is locked for this lineup, and we're good. We're a game out of the playoffs. We're 7-5. We need to win this game horribly bad to get into the playoffs and to get that number 4 seed. So we're trying to get there. We appreciate y'all. Please click that like button. Please click subscribe if you are here on this beautiful Sunday, November's over. December 1st, Sunday, December 1st here on the RosterWatch YouTube and X channel. If you're on Twitter, click that retweet button, click that heart button, whichever one of those. Please just click at least one of them. And then also, if you're on YouTube, click that like button. Big Meech, what's going on, brother? Coming in with the quarterback question right at the top. Drake May or Brock Purdy? So Brock Purdy, did you see the weather? Is the biggest question. Did you see the weather in Buffalo? Does not look good. I mean, there is a lot of snow on the ground. We've seen this every single year when December comes around. A lot of snow on the ground in Buffalo. I'm not sure I believe in any part of this thing. Purdy missed last week. Brandon Allen looked horrible. I'm not sure Purdy's going to be 100% if he is. Buffalo's not the best situation for him. So we ranked him very low, 3rd to worst quarterback on the slate this weekend. So that's QB 29? QB 29? That's where he's at. It is Purdy, Cooper Rush, then Trevor Lawrence for RosterWatch Nation as a whole. Drake May is up as a composite 18th overall, right between Tua and Russell Wilson. So we're going to go ahead and ride with Drake May today. Big Meech. Remember, Drake May by himself averaging 35.7 rush yards per game right now in fantasy football. Josh Terrio, Kyler Murray or Anthony Richardson? Kyler Murray or Anthony Richardson? This is a much closer question. These guys are back-to-back right now for us in the overall rankings. Anthony Richardson ranked 8th overall in the matchup tool as far as his competition, the New England Patriots. Kyler Murray in Minnesota today with a decent matchup, but not a great matchup. He's averaging 34 yards on the ground, Richardson 41. We have Richardson one spot ahead at QB 11 overall, and we have Richardson at Kyler at QB 12 overall. So we're going to lean Richardson just by a touch, but it is consensus across the board for Alex Trashman and I regarding that question. John in Cedar Park, what's going on, brother? Good morning. Good morning. Appreciate you jumping in. Great picks on Thursday, brother. Let's keep it rolling. Thursday was good. Wasn't great. I went 4 for 5 in the primetime picks over there on Underdog. Make sure you go over to underdogfantasy.com today. Right here, you can see the code. It's actually, I should edit that. It's actually no longer a 50% deposit bonus up to $250. They just came down. They said, hey, guess what? Thanksgiving, December 1st. It's new. New numbers have come through. Y'all have been doing good. 50% deposit bonus up to $1,000. So if you're thinking about it and you're like, well, I don't really want to use Underdog. Man, I don't know. We'll see. I don't know. 250 is not that great of a deal. 50% deposit bonus up to $1,000. So if you put in $1,000 hypothetically, you get 500 bonus deposit. You put in 500, you get a $250 deposit bonus. You put in 100, you get a $50 deposit bonus. There you go, all the way up to $1,000 if you so choose to put that in. And I mean, if you do tap into Roster Watch Nation, I will say the picks are in for this weekend over at Roster Watch, and they look pretty nice. My free pick of the week was Puka Nacua, higher than 6.5 receptions. I have, I think, 8 picks total in. A couple other ones that I do like. I like Jalen Warren, 38.5 rushing yards. I like Jaden Daniels, 36.5 rushing yards. The rest of them, you got to go over to RosterWatch.com, become a pro member, become a premium member, tap in, tune in. You can see at the bottom of the screen. Go over to RosterWatch.com. It's literally $9.99 a month. Right now, we're hitting at a 63% clip. You will make back your $9.99. I promise you that. Last week by itself, I literally pocketed, let's do the math on this. So $10 times 10 times 3. So was that 30 times my money? 30 times that? I think that's the math. Maybe 300, 30 times that, whatever $300 is based on $10. It's all you have to do. $10. You get all the picks from Roster Watch Nation. You put them into ChatGPT. You say, hey, could I please get 15 groups of 3 from this assorted list? Paste the list in. It gives you 15 assorted picks, randomized. You plug them all in over there at underdogfantasy.com. You sit back, you kick your legs up, you watch football on Sunday, and all of a sudden, stuff just starts appearing in your account that turns green. Because last week we hit 13-2, 86% over there on Underdog. So tap in, tune in. We appreciate y'all that have done that to this point. John Cedar Park, appreciate you. Omar says MVS or Marvin Harrison Jr. So we just got an update literally right now as I was talking. I saw something populate up on my phone about Marvin Harrison Jr. I'm going to make sure I didn't miss something because I just saw it pop up. Let's see here. I thought it was Tom Pelissero. Marvin Harrison Jr. has just 10 catches total over the past 3 weeks, but Jonathan Gannon tells me we're going to get him going today. That's Tom Pelissero. Tom Pelissero, the Arrow, down there in Minnesota. So, hey, take that for what it is. I don't think it's really close. I would rather play Marvin Harrison Jr. than Marquez Valdez-Scantling. I can't also get myself just to play Marquez Valdez-Scantling just because of the pure raw target shortage that is there. You do get 10-point bonus at 100-yard receiving. Enticing. But, again, unfortunately, you can't do that on one catch. Do they target it potentially 3-4 times? Maybe. But I'm going to take that bet on the Marvin Harrison Jr. side today. I just don't feel bullish at all on Valdez-Scantling. It is a top 10 matchup on the Roster Watch matchup tool. Harrison Jr., though, also a top 5 matchup on the Roster Watch matchup tool. So I'm going to go ahead and just play Marvin Harrison against Stephon Gilmore. Josh Terrio, thanks, homie. Love all your content. One more from me. Waiting on Devonta Smith news, but not looking good. So if he is out, do I roll Javonte, Gus Bus, or Jeremy McNichols? See, you got yourself a little bit of a situation there. Javonte, I don't hate. I kind of like Javonte tomorrow. Was it Monday night? Yeah, Monday night against the Browns. The matchup's tougher, so I don't love it. I'm middling on it. You also have Gus Edwards and Jeremy McNichols. McNichols, I think, is going to be sitting more in that pass-catching role. We could see him pull in 5, 6, 7 targets in this game. Is that enough to surpass a Gus Edwards in a lead role with Hassan Haskins, Kamani Vidal by his side? I think Gus is probably the play here if you're going to go ahead and obviously have a no Devonta Smith play in this game. I'm going to ride with Gus Edwards here. Jan, welcome back. Appreciate you always tapping in. Cody, the wide receiver guru, sit one. Ridley, Brian Thomas, McConkey, or Devontae Adams. Brian Thomas looking to get back Trevor Lawrence today, but I think that was verified yesterday. So I got Brian Thomas here at receiver 33. Alex, a little more bullish, has him up at receiver 25. The model is more in line with Trashman and I. Calvin Ridley, one I just talked about a second ago, I benched him in favor of Gus Edwards on my own team. We have Calvin Ridley at wide receiver 21 with a tougher matchup against the Washington Commanders. Not the best, not the easiest. The model likes him a little bit more than the field. Lad McConkey, kind of the place I want to go here. As far as the Devontae Adams and the Garrett Wilson situation in New York. We'll see how weather is. I'm assuming weather is going to be fine. Seattle does have athletic corners, physical corners. I tend to just the layup answer is always going to be play Devontae Adams because he's Devontae Adams. But I think the savvy play here is to go to Atlanta with Justin Herbert and let Justin Herbert target McConkey 9 more times today. 6.2 targets through the season so far. 9 projected PFF expected fantasy points so far in the year. 2.37 yards per route run for McConkey's in a good area. I like McConkey today. He's my wide receiver 21. I'm actually going to sorting by consensus, Adams is ahead. That's why I'm talking like this. But as far as my own rankings, I have McConkey at 21 and Adams at 26. So I don't have to justify this or move anything. I can just tell you right now, I have McConkey ahead of Adams, Jan. So best of luck today. I would play Lad McConkey. And the theory behind it is strictly that. I think that offense is much better. It's indoors in a game that I think has the abilities to go to be a 31-30 finish. So roll with McConkey today. Jelly of the month, no Josh Downs. PPR, need tight end and flex. Taysom Hill, Otton, and Edwards. And flex, tight end and PPR need tight end and flex. I'm playing Taysom Hill here at the tight end for sure, and I think I'm going to play Gus in the flex spot. Taysom Hill, we got him consensus at the tight end 4 on the weekend today. I took a prop number over at Underdog Fantasy on Taysom Hill for rushing. There's also a number for receiving. The numbers are very similar. The thing is, I don't know how you put that genie back in the bottle. I'm not sure they will. I'm not sure they can. They've done it before, but there's still a lot of players banged up in New Orleans, so I think they still kind of roll with Taysom Hill, see if they can keep on winning some games. So let's go Taysom Hill and Gus Edwards. Dan B, Alec Pierce, Quentin Johnston, A.D. Mitchell, wide receiver in PPR. So Pierce is going to be my lowest ranked guy here. The theory with Pierce is just strictly, I'm still not there. A.D. Mitchell's not getting the output that we want quite yet. I think it's coming. I think especially with Josh Downs out, the theory, the idea would be, I keep saying theory today, a lot of theories, I guess you'd say. The idea would be that with Josh Downs out, we're going to see more Ashton Dulin or more of our guy Adonai Mitchell. I hope that's Adonai Mitchell that runs more of those routes, gets some work in the slot. Alec Pierce, a bit predominantly a one-trick pony, predominantly a two-trick pony in Indianapolis as far as a route runner. He runs a great deep route, great 9 fly. As far as everything else goes, I trust more, obviously, Josh Downs. We like Michael Pittman. I like Adonai Mitchell quite a bit. Adonai Mitchell, though, we just need to see that boost hop back up. If he gets back into 95%, 90% of the routes like he did in week 10, he was wide receiver 20 overall. If he goes back to, like he was way early in the year when they tried to put him out there, 75, 68% of the routes, I think he can get there much better. So I go Adonai over Pierce. And then you enter the Quentin Johnston conversation, which, again, kind of rolls with the McConkey thing. It's a top matchup. AJ Terrell hasn't been as dominant as he has in prior years, but there's also a theory. Dropped the theory again. I mean, this whole show might just be called Week 13 Theory Starts. The idea that Quentin Johnston doesn't have arms, and they're just nubs cut off at the shoulder blades, running around with a helmet on, and Justin Herbert just throws the ball, and it just has to get stuck between like his helmet gap right here for him to catch the football. There's a theory to that maybe he just doesn't have arms, and they're just showing up on the screen as a hologram. I don't know. I haven't seen Quentin Johnston in about a year and a half in person, so I can't tell you that's true, that's false, that's fact, what it is. But I'm going to play Adonai Mitchell today over Quentin Johnston because Josh Downs is out. Dan B. All right, Big Meech, Marvin Harrison Jr. or T. Higgins. Marvin Harrison Jr., of course, in Minnesota. T. Higgins. Where's T. Higgins playing today? I had him ranked up here at 20. I think it's like 12, 11. Oh my gosh, the model absolutely loves T. Higgins today. I didn't expect that one. Matchup against Joey Porter today on the outside. I did not expect the model to love him that much. I'm going to roll with RosterWatch on this one. I'm going to roll with RosterWatch. RosterWatch says T. Higgins. That's me, Alex, Trashman, and the model. I'm going to roll with T. Higgins here, half PPR over Marvin Harrison Jr. We have him a clear 15 spots higher, do we, of T. Higgins. Thank you for the question, Big Meech. Scrap iron, maybe. Cody, McLaurin or Kelvin Ridley? McLaurin or Kelvin Ridley? 2 spots apart here, both bottom 8 matchups in the RosterWatch matchup tool with Terry McLaurin and Kelvin Ridley playing against each other in Washington. Levis took a step up the last week. We'll see if he can continue to do that in Washington. But I tell you who must win this game. Washington is in a must-win situation against Tennessee in Washington going into a bye. Washington needs to get that 8th win today, and I think they do it. So I'm going Terry McLaurin here over Calvin Ridley, who has been decent in spurts this year. Jelly of the month, Scrapian, thank you. Jelly of the month, Daniels or Murray at the quarterback position. Daniels, we do have all the way up there at QB3 this week, continuing that trend. He is averaging 46 yards on the ground this year. Kyler Murray averaging about 34. Much more of a pass-happy situation in Minnesota today for Kyler Murray. Opportunities for him. I mean, we have him at QB12 overall. Opportunities for Kyler to potentially get up into that top 5 area, but I feel much better about Jaden Daniels finishing in that top 5 area. 6-point passing PPR. That's okay. If anything, it's going to be a one passing touchdown difference between these two guys. If one throws for 3, one throws for 2, or one throws for 2, one throws for 1, something like that. So you're talking about just a mere, not too many points that I think that can be made up for in rushing for Jaden Daniels if Kyler does throw 3 touchdown passes, which I don't anticipate happening. Great question, Jelly. Let's roll with Daniels. C-Dog, Terry or Jennings? Give me Terry McLaurin. C-Dog, thank you. John and Cedar Park, half PPR, Juwan Jennings in the weather, or Jordan Addison. Jordan Addison again. Love Hawkinson today as well. I think this game, probably my 2 favorite games are going to be Denver, Atlanta, Minnesota, Arizona. I'm going to build a lineup later on DraftKings using the RosterWatch DFS cheat sheet, using the RosterWatch DFS tools. It's going to be Minnesota, Arizona, Denver, Atlanta heavy as far as that goes for that GPP lineup. So appreciate you all tapping in, and make sure you go over to rosterwatch.com. Get all those tools. You build a lineup this morning, go over there, rosterwatch.com. Again, you get all the underdog picks, you get the DFS tool, you get the rankings, you get to go over there, you get to ask, start, sit questions to Alex, Trashman, and Byron. They're all over there answering those questions on the website. So if you're not getting them answered here, which everyone does if you're here in the chat, go on over there, get your questions answered on the website amongst the dozens of other tools that are there for literally $9.99 a month. Not a better value in sports right now, to be honest with you. John Cedar Park, appreciate you. Jordan Addison. DJ, one more, Geno or JT in PPR flex. So it's just Geno Smith or Jonathan Taylor is the question here. Geno Smith with a bottom 10 matchup here against the Jets in New York, or Jonathan Taylor pulling in a top 10 matchup against the New England Patriots in a game I believe the Colts can win and will win. I think you play Jonathan Taylor here, DJ. Best of luck. Kip C, happy Sunday, Cody and Roster Watch Nation. Feels weird having a few questions after all the games so far, but here for the knowledge to drop anyway. Stroud or Kyler for the bounce back. I'm the Stroud thing's a bit of a tizzy for me. It's a bit of a thing. I don't know what to make of it. I think Houston's a good team, not a great team. This is a letdown spot here in Jacksonville potentially for Houston, and that would make them losing 4 of the last 5 games, 5 of the last 7, and 4 of the last 5 would be Jets, Titans, Jags, and Lions. Lions by 3, and they beat the Cowboys in the middle of that. Just a mess as they go 7-6 heading into the bye. This is a must-win spot for Stroud and the Houston Texans. Kyler, of course, Kyler sitting there at the top of the NFC West. Their abilities to kind of continue to control their own destiny. They play Seattle again next week. So they lost to Seattle 16-6 this past week after a 4-game win streak going into the bye. Both teams, I think, are in mad forced win situations here. I talked about the top of the hour winning for fantasy. I mean, winning for the NFL. Arizona's in a spot where they need to. I mean, they have a good schedule down the line with New England, Carolina. Then they have Rams and Niners in the division. But big game in Minnesota today. Big game in Jacksonville today. Stroud or Kyler for the bounce back, though, if you're starting your lineups in fantasy football. Stroud is the number 1 matchup in fantasy football this weekend. We got him ranked properly. QB 10. I have him QB 7. Nico, Tank, Dell combined for more than 230 yards today and 2 touchdowns. Give it to me. Sign me up every day of the week. Maybe Joe Mixon gets going too, but I think the passing game gets right today. Kip C. Theories. Maybe that's a new pod show or maybe a song. I don't know. Theories by Cody. I like it. Dan B, thank you. Appreciate you tapping in as always. And DJ, Garrett Wilson or Jonathan Taylor in PPR flex. I'm going Jonathan Taylor. I talked about the matchups nice against New England. I think they need to establish this thing with Anthony Richardson. You look at the receiver position with Garrett Wilson. It's a tougher matchup. It's middle of the line against the Seattle Seahawks this week in New York. Cold weather. Aaron Rodgers not playing how we're used to Aaron Rodgers playing. They need to establish the run to a certain extent too with the Jets, with Breece Hall, Braylon Allen, get back to tough, hard-nosed football and win this football game. And I'm not sure winning this football game is putting the ball in the air, particularly against Seattle. I could be wrong here, but from what we've seen from Rodgers, I don't quite believe in that. Jan, appreciate you. Thanks. Cody, quick question. For RosterWatch, $59.99 for annual. Is it season or 12 months based on sign-up? 12 months based on sign-up. It's 12 months based. Annuals the whole year because we produce content all year. As soon as the fantasy football NFL season ends, we get right into NFL draft and everything. I mean, and the props continue. The props continue through the NFL Combine. We talk about NFL draft stuff literally starting this month because it's now December. We'll be talking about the NFL draft all the way through May. Dynasty. We'll be on the tour doing the Pro Day tour. We'll be at the Combine with the Senior Bowl, at the Shrine Bowl. All the way through the summer, we'll be covering football, and then all the way right into July and August when we start to go to training camp. So you'll be a full year. If you signed up today, you'd get a full year all the way around to December 1st of next year, Jan. We appreciate you for thinking about it, and thank you for always tapping in here on Sundays. Oscar Blackenberg, I'm starting Thielen over Debo. Am I too crazy? Also, long live Trashman. Trashman, always OG. He was on SiriusXM yesterday. If you tapped in over there in SiriusXM channel 87, he had last week, this week, and next week. So you'll be able to tap in and get your Trash Man fix every single Saturday over there on SiriusXM. Appreciate you. Okay, Thielen over Debo is the theory here. I tell you what, I get it. I get playing Thielen here, especially with no Jatavian Sanders. Thielen probably in a situation to pull in 6 to 8 and 9 targets against Tampa. I don't hate it at all. Debo in the snow kind of sounds fun. I kind of like the idea of it for San Francisco. But I get it. I don't think you're crazy. I get the theory. It's one of those ones on a weekly basis that you're like, well, if you would have told me, if you would have told me that, yeah, I wouldn't have believed you. But you're telling me it right now. You're telling me that Thielen's going to out-target Debo and potentially end up with 80 yards, and Debo is going to potentially end up with, 37 total yards. Like, I shouldn't be shocked by that. So I don't think you're crazy at all, Oscar. I'm not going to talk you out of it at all. Best of luck. Furman, Sanchez, Stafford, or Kyler. PPR, thanks, and Hook'em. Hook'em, Furman. Again, not a Texas fan, but I do cover Texas for Orange Bloods. Big game last night. Shut them out on defense. Big game. Kyler Murray or Matthew Stafford, just about back-to-back. Sam Darnold is sandwiched in between these two guys. Stafford is the better matchup, but we love Kyler as a consensus. Again, we talked about the matchup already in Minnesota. Stafford traveling down to New Orleans. Both juicy, indoor, warm spots on this beautiful December 1st weekend day. Dan B, A.D. Mitchell over Noah Brown or Vele. Yes. Like Mitchell over Noah Brown. Vele, I get it, but I'm still going to play Mitchell. Again, you're thinking forward. You're thinking upside here. Him running upwards of 95% of the routes with no Josh Downs here, and potentially getting also a deep ball tapped into that Dan B. Kipsy, Senior Bowl NFL draft coverage is always aces. I mean, that's where I love making my bread. I love making heavy loaves of sourdough in the off season. I know we get cooking here during the year, but I love making that bread in the off season. So tapping over there. Appreciate you, Kipsy, for dropping that. Omar says Tony Pollard or Rashad White. Full PPR. Need Juan at the running back position this weekend. Tony Pollard or Rashad White. A bit of a doozy here as far as weekly expectation, weekly wanting. Rashad White, best matchup in fantasy football this weekend. But how much is that going to be a split with Bucky? Bucky, I got 2 spots higher as a consensus. We have Bucky 2 spots higher. As personal, I have Rashad 7 spots higher than Bucky. And then Tony Pollard there at running back 23. So I'm going to roll with Rashad White here. And I'm just going to say I think this is the best matchup in fantasy football. And Rashad White's going to continue to get his carries because he's Rashad White. Pollard's going to get work. It's a tougher matchup against Washington, however. Oscar, I was listening to SiriusXM and heard Trashman Alex. Thank you guys. Been listening for years. Oscar, shout out to you. Appreciate you tapping in to Roster Watch Nation. As always, Kip C, Big Tank Dell or Mooney over Garrett Wilson seems a bit much. Jets offense is scary and it isn't Halloween. So Big Tank Dell or Mooney over Garrett Wilson. Yeah, I'm playing Tank over Wilson today. I have that ranked as such in my personal rankings with Tank Dell ahead of Garrett Wilson. Garrett Wilson, I got down at wide receiver 20 this weekend. I got Tank Dell at wide receiver 18. So I'm in favor of playing Tank there. Mooney, a little bit lower on Mooney. Have him at wide receiver 33. But Tank, I'm going to play Tank this weekend ahead of Mr. Garrett Wilson. Sorry. Read that twice backwards because I had the name so close in line. There you go. Tank Dell, Kip C is the move. Thanks. Dan B drops another one in here. Thanks. Scraping the barrel for wide receivers after Rice, Ayuk, and now Downs injuries. Going to roll with AD. Let's go. Big injuries. Rashi Rice, Brandon Ayuk, Josh Downs. Hopefully you can just, get through the week, potentially get Josh Downs back, or Adonai Mitchell just becomes what we knew Adonai Mitchell could and would be in the NFL, but he hasn't been there quite yet. Opportunities, though, are here. And if Christian Gonzalez is predominantly on Michael Pittman, we could be due for a mega Adonai Mitchell day here in week 13. Gooner Boy, what's up, brother? Appreciate you tapping in. Gooner Boy says Nick Chubb or Marvin Harrison Jr. in full PPR up there in Minnesota. Nick Chubb is going to be on Monday Night Football. Do I love Nick Chubb more in a brutal matchup against the Denver Broncos, or do I love Marvin Harrison Jr.? Gooner Boy, I love me some Marvin Harrison Jr. I love me some Marvin Harrison Jr. in this type of a situation. I know Chubb bounced up, had a big game last week, finished as was he running back 5 last week? Is that what that was? I want to verify my own words. I'm pretty sure he was running back 5 when I went through. 7. Running back 7 on 64% of snaps. I'm not sure he doubles up on that. I don't believe in that. I'm going to go Marvin Harrison Jr. I'm going to believe in Jonathan Gannon saying we're going to get him more involved. They need to get him more involved against Stephon Gilmore, against Byron Murphy, the former Arizona Cardinal in Minnesota. Again, I love the Arizona game against Minnesota. I love Denver against Atlanta. I love everything from Roster Watch Nation over at rosterwatch.com. You can go on over there. You can get all the underdog picks this weekend. Last weekend we went 13-2, 86%. Absolutely a cash cow over there, RosterWatch account. Tap in, tune in every single Sunday, every single weekday as we produce more and more shows. As fantasy football playoffs approach, we appreciate y'all. We love y'all. We thank y'all for tuning in. Click that like button, click subscribe on your way out. And we'll see you on Monday for some more underdog picks. Monday Night Football, Broncos, Browns.